Have you noticed how most homes nowadays aren't just one style? A popular look among vintage buyers right now is the mix, blending modern essentials with vintage pieces to give character to your table and create a home that feels lived in and layered, not just decorated. In this series, we have been exploring Hostingcore, bringing those beautiful vintage pieces out of the china cabinet and into our everyday moments in entertaining. Hi, I'm Carol. I've sold more than 1,500 vintage items on Etsy over the past 3 years. This channel is simply my way of sharing what I'm learning along the way. Today, we're finishing our Hostingcore series by stepping into 4 everyday scenarios: the morning coffee bar, the casual lunch table, the dinner table, and the casual evening get-together or happy hour. Along the way, I'm going to show you exactly how I stage these moments to help my vintage pieces stand out, and I will be sharing my top photography tips for creating Etsy listings that tell a story and, more importantly, actually sell. You know, it's one thing to have a beautiful piece, and it's another to help someone else see how it fits into a moment in their real life. But as a seller, how do you capture that layered, collected look in a single thumbnail? In the morning, it often starts with something simple. Cup of coffee, eased into slowly. You don't need a full coffee bar or a dedicated space. It can be as simple as a small corner of the counter, a mug you enjoy, a little creamer, a spoon resting nearby. And over time, those pieces just start to find their way in. Not all at once, not perfectly matched. Just things you've picked up that you like, that you keep reaching for, and before you really notice it, that small, ordinary moment starts to feel a little more settled, a little more yours, like something you could see yourself coming back to every day. And then, as the day moves on, maybe into a casual lunch or a slower weekend brunch, you might set things out just a little more intentionally. Bring out a serving piece, a set of glasses, maybe something you wouldn't have used before. Not because you have to, but because you want to. It's still simple, it's still easy, but there's just a little more thought behind it. A sense that the table is part of the moment and not just something you pass through. And it becomes easier to picture how a few small choices can change the way it feels to sit down. And later in the day, at dinner, not saved for special occasions, just part of a regular night at home, a plate, a glass, maybe a cloth napkin. Nothing perfectly matched, nothing overly thought out, just part of the table. And that's really where it starts to happen. Because it's not about creating something formal, it's about letting these pieces become part of your everyday rhythm. Something you use without thinking twice about it. Something that feels natural, like it's always been there. Like something you didn't realize you were missing until you saw it this way. And by the end of the day, this is when I notice it the most. We head outside for a neighborhood happy hour, just something simple, drinks and snacks, and without really thinking about it, I reach for a vintage piece to bring my snack in. I have a whole collection of beautiful little vintage bowls and trays that I use for this purpose every single day. Nothing formal, nothing styled, just being used. And that's what stands out to me. These aren't pieces being saved or set aside for someday. They're part of the evening, part of the conversation, part of the way the day winds down. And it becomes easy to see how they fit into real life without any effort at all. Once you see how these pieces can fit into everyday life, the next step is showing your customer through your photos how that item could fit into their life. Now, I start with my product photos, the photos someone sees inside my listings. I do process those in Canva just to keep them clean and consistent. Here are a few of the examples. I have done a previous video on this, so I will link that video. Everything else I'm going to be showing you, though, in this video is about how to take those styled photos. Now, I can't take perfect photos. I am not a photographer. I just focus on taking photos that are clear, pleasing to the eye for my thumbnail photos. There are several ways of photographing these styled photos, and here are a few of the approaches that I use. One way I take these styled photos is simply straight on at eye level. This gives clear and undistracted views of the piece. Especially, it's really helpful for shape, height, and overall form. Most of the time, I find it best to use that portrait mode on my camera phone because that blurs the objects in the background and really makes the main item stand out. And as with all of these angles, cropping can be your best friend. From there, I shift slightly into some angled shots, just natural views, the way you might look at something sitting on a table or a counter. If I were to use this shot for my thumbnail, I would want to use that adjust thumbnails option in Etsy to zoom in on the item as far as I could for the thumbnail. Some photos I take at about what I think is a 20-degree angle, others more at about a 45-degree angle to add more depth and to help show how an item sits in a certain space. Now, this doesn't make sense for all items, but sometimes it's nice to see things with a shot from straight above it. It works especially well for plates and bowls or anything else where the detail is best seen from the top. Again, cropping is your friend. Don't fret over trying to get the perfect shot when you snap the photo. Just try to get everything you want to show in the shot and worry about everything being perfectly centered later. And then sometimes I do show, usually just hands, but sometimes photos with myself in it or other people in it. Doesn't have to be the whole person. I do take all of my product photos in a photo light box. It's great if you can get cool lighting shots with natural light. That's not always the case. Candlelight is often a good alternative. So many evenings here in Florida, we have beautiful sunsets, and the light that comes in through our lanai is just golden. But alas, when I made this video, it had been a rainy day, so I didn't get to show that evening lighting. But late afternoon and evening lighting is my favorite. And that's really all I'm doing. I'm not trying to create something perfect, just showing the piece clearly and honestly in a way that helps someone else see it as part of their own everyday life. Because sometimes it's not about doing more, it's about doing the right things very clearly. I'd love to see down in the comments what some of your favorite vintage pieces are for entertaining. Thanks for being here today.